Hey, this is Ron Wojciechowski, and we are in the black hole of real estate. And today I want to talk about selling your property, choosing the right agent, and what strategy is going to work in a market such as that we're in. Um, One of the first things I will tell you is this is not necessarily a market where you want to hire your brother-in-law, your sister-in-law, or a friend down the street who's been dabbling in the business for the past few years and maybe had a really good run, during the COVID times when almost anybody could sell a house for any price, and then tapered off a little bit. And this year's been harder for them. So I realize that many people want to help a friend or have that personal relationship. But what we want to make sure is that we're getting in front of the right people. And if that is the right person, great. Um, Having negotiation skills and numerous transactions under their belt will absolutely help them along the way. And if they have the right marketing, it could be a really good choice to use a friend. So I'm not dismissing that. You could even sell it on your own. And we've talked about how that would work in a recent episode. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that today. I mean, you can sell it on your own. You can absolutely hire like the neighbor, the friend, the relative. Um, you could hire the neighborhood expert. And what I find is interesting is that if you were in a specific condo or specific subdivision, there are agents that specialize in just that one area. And that could be a really good solution for you as well. And the reason for that is if they live in the neighborhood, they walk the neighborhood, and they know everybody over there, chances are they're the one that could get quite a few listings just because of the social contact that they're having. And they might know everything there is to know about the homeowners association and all the things that go on within the community. And those could absolutely be assets to help sell the property. What we want to make sure is that person also is a marketing expert and a negotiation expert because too many times what we find is the expertise of that agent ends at the gate of the community, the entry to the community, or the front door of the condo building, so to speak. And that's really what they know. They may or may not have a reach, nationwide or worldwide, and a connected database that's going to get the most looks on the property, the most showing opportunities. So if I was going to hire that agent, I would absolutely ask, how are you going to market the property? Tell me about the reach that you have, and what are your proven systems and models that would get the job done? What examples can you show me of the marketing? If they say I'm going to put you on, some of the very, very famous portals, the Zillows and the Realtors and things like that, as syndication. It's available in most MLS these days, although there's some changes going on. But most often you can hire just about any agent and get it on there. So you'll need to differentiate yourself. You're going to have to get in front of more people simply because the market is different than it was a few years back, where you could just stick a sign in the ground and hope that it sells really, really fast and you get all your money. I mean, that was a really good strategy, but now hope is less of a strategy, and putting a sign in the ground and putting it on the MLS is not enough these days. It's going to need robust marketing, and it's going to need time on task where the agent is making phone calls and doing the follow-up phone calls and showing the value, price and condition of that property to the other agent, so that way they can relay it to their buyer. Creating packages where you've got all the seller's disclosures and any information about the property and feature sheets also going to be helpful. If there happens to be some sort of a HOA fee or perhaps a special assessment, if it's a condo, that has to be thoroughly detailed. And if it's a condo, you've got to look at all the engineering reports and the budgets that go along with it, and then the meeting agendas and anything else that goes along with it, to make sure that the buyer gets a complete package and a really good picture of what that looks like. And then probably the more traditional method is to hire the top agent in the area or the right fit for you. Most people these days are going to check online reviews. The big one of them is going to be the Google review. You can check Facebook reviews if that's important to you. That will give you more of the social side. It may not give you the expertise. Some of the portals have ratings in there and reviews for agents within them. And even Yelp is one that you can also look at. So a number of places you can check reviews. So I would do that. And when I was interviewing an agent, since I'm an agent, I have an idea of what these appointments sound like. A couple of things I would be asking. And the first is, tell me about your track record. Have you sold in this neighborhood or in this building? And the answer doesn't have to be yes for them to be a really good agent. In fact, if they sell in a neighborhood, that's great, but it's not the end all be all, because if they have a great marketing program and sold a couple thousand homes, They may very well know the building from selling in it or being near it, but maybe not, maybe their buyer chose a different building, but maybe they know it inside and out. But they have an amazing marketing program and a really big reach. I wouldn't dismiss them because I've never sold in a neighborhood or that building. As a matter of fact, there are condo buildings where there's only one or two sales a year. I interviewed at one just recently where there has not been a sale in 15 months. So nobody sold one in the last year. There is no resident expert selling all of them because there was none being sold. Interestingly enough, some people will choose by geography. And if you happen to live in one city, it might be really important for you to hire somebody who lives in that city. Uh, in our markets in Florida, you could be in the Ormond Beach area and on the border of Palm Coast or the border of Daytona or Port Orange, neighboring to Ponce Inlet or New Smyrna Beach. Because it's a long and I'll say skinny area, easy to get to, either Route 95 or US 1 or even on the beach side. In this particular market, just because the agent isn't from the exact city that you live in doesn't, I mean, if they're 15 minutes away and they sell a lot of houses and great reviews, you know, is that someone you want to cross off the list because of 15 minutes in the car? And there's other places where it would, if you're in the Orlando area, it might take you 45 minutes to an hour to drive across the city. So just having the name of Orlando, that may not be enough. So I would really look at the distance and the expertise. Does their website have content about the city that you live in? I don't know that I would dismiss an agent over proximity, especially if they have the track record that you're looking for. Um, so there's a few things I want to stack and rack this and make it sound less like an advertisement because that can easily slide in with any kind of salesmanship. But if we're going to select an agent, reviews are good, proximity to the home, knowledge of the home or condo building, super important. Do they have anything that they do that is unique or different that would lead to the sale of the property? Maybe it's an open house. Maybe they put flyers out. Maybe they do some sort of online marketing that's different than just putting it on the portals. Do they have a weekly or twice weekly email, something like that, that goes out to a database and it just go out to like 5 people or 40,000 people? I would want to make sure what is going to get the marketing out in such a way that you got the widest possible net to attract the buyers local and nationwide and abroad for that matter to look at your property. And more people are moving to Florida, all the time, as they say, every day. Um, it's very likely people are moving across the country, not across town. So I think you want some of each. People do move within a neighborhood or across town. They absolutely do. But there's also a lot of people coming to the area to buy the primary residence, their retirement home. Maybe they're going to buy a second home or rental property. These are all people that you want to take a look at your property too. So I would make sure there's a robust marketing campaign that hits all those high notes. Pricing strategy, I would want to hear from the agent how they're going to price it, where they feel it's going to sell, where you should start with the listing price at. Would you schedule a price reduction? Are they going to be able to have a good negotiation with you? Because you're probably going to involve the word commission. What's the fee? What is it going to cost to sell the property? I think you'd want to have that conversation as well. And many times you may find that the first negotiation is, if you're interviewing multiple agents, is the lowest commission the best? Maybe it is. You might get the best agent for the lowest amount of money. You might not. And just because it's the highest commission, again, does that mean it's the best agent? I think it needs to be the right fit for you. And it does enter into the conversation for a lot of people. I'd also say if you're arguing over a small amount of money or less than 1%, you may lose that negotiation if they're not an expert negotiator. So, the lowest fee does not necessarily translate to the highest net in your pocket at closing. And I'd want that question answered if I was interviewing agents. So, now we're talking about, the basics. I mean, how are you going to price the home? Well, location is certainly going to be important. Condition, you're the homeowner. That's up to you. What the condition is it perfect or less than perfect? Marketing, that's going to be in control of the agent that you select. And then price is really what's going to be attractive um, to either get eyeballs on the property or not. And when you're doing that, especially online, who's the photographer? Is it a professional photographer? Are they just doing it off of like a little, flip phone? Is there video that's going to be attached to it? How would that be presented? Will it be on, things like YouTube? Or would it just simply be on the MLS and we just hope that it sells? And I think that we've given you enough to, get started with. I think most people know this, but hearing it Or just that reminder, maybe you haven't sold a home in a while. I mean, I met with somebody recently that just closed and they're in their 70s. They never sold a home before. So if we make the assumption that everybody knows how it works and what to do, maybe not. There's other people that are expert home sellers that sold years ago and they got top dollar for it. And maybe they paced the market with a top dollar price, the highest in the building, and still got it. That strategy may or may not work out in today's market. It absolutely may have and could have absolutely worked 5, 10, 20 years ago, but this market is a little bit different. So I think that we've got the building blocks for you, what to look for in an agent, what type of agent to hire. It's absolutely okay to sell it on your own. You can definitely hire a friend or a family member to do it. But absent of that, I would really research, the experts in the area, whether they live right in town, right in the building, or just a little bit away, and really weigh heavily on the criteria of online reviews, lifetime sales, and let's not forget recent sales. If they've sold 2,000 homes in their career, but only six in the last 3 years, I would think about that. I just would. Definitely the strategy they're going to use for online as well as offline marketing, and I don't know, maybe something about the relationship. Can you get along with them for 3 or 6 months as well? All right. That's what I want to talk to you about today was, how do we hire and select the right agent to sell our home and what we should be looking for. So, all right, I kept it as non-salesy as possible for you because some of you know I'm in that business too. And I want to make sure that we're giving you really good information because let's face it, I only sell in one of the 50 states over here. So well, most of you, 98% of you couldn't even hire me because I'm not licensed anywhere else. So I'm hitting most of the audience with something that's honest and dear to my heart is just hiring the right agent, the right fit to get you the most amount of money at closing and the least amount of stress along the way. This is your host, Ron Wojciechowski for the Black Hole of Real Estate.